came to my class tonight. We're going to talk about sugar, and I have a card for you guys, kind of a tip card that I do. Is 10 tricks to kind of help you balance balance your blood sugar for the day. But first I want to say I am an all-organic chef, and I really want to make sure that health is wealth, right? Health is the new wealth, and I really want to make sure that no matter whether we have a ton of money or we don't have a ton of money, that we all have the knowledge and the ability to be able to make food taste good so that you can feel good. If you eat good food and it tastes good, then you can feel good. And so I have a catering business, and we focus on making sure that we pick all organic ingredients. So our tagline is distinct ingredients, organically grown and cleanly made. So we don't add any additives or preservatives to any of our food. And I really honestly have to say that is why I feel so much better than I did a few years ago when I worked in corporate America. I am not doing the fast food and so on, and I really honestly, part of the reason why I created this class is because I really feel that my generation is part of the problem for why we have all the sugar problems that we have today. Our parents were running a million miles a minute. I had a bunch of brothers and sisters, and we were all going to different games, and so the drive-through, the land at McDonald's and Burger King, and when I moved to California, I grew up on a farm, and so I knew where food came from, and I knew exactly how it was created. But then we moved to California, and they had In-N-Out Burger and Rubio's Tacos, and it was just really, really great to eat something other than coming from the farm. And I think I figured out about 10 years ago that really honestly, and going back to my roots of organic food, which was really hard to find 10 years ago, and it was super expensive, going back to that really made me feel significantly better. And then leaving corporate America and the stresses that came along with that, honestly, I have to say my friends all tell me I look significantly better than I did, a lot younger than I did just 2 years ago when I left corporate America. So I don't know if you guys probably all have done some research on sugar and what sugar does to you and so on, but if you read any of the new articles and so on, they talk a lot about how sugar is just as addictive as crack cocaine. So it has the same dopamine effect in your brain, and once you have a little bit, you can never quite get that original high that you originally had, right? So you eat more and you eat more and you eat more until we end up, me, or whatever, find out that we have sugar in everything that we eat. It's in our milk, our whole milk. When they pasteurize it, they take all of the nutrients out of it, so they add all the nutrients back into it, and to make it taste good, they add sugar to it. And they did a study a few years ago about how much sugar is actually in a carton of white milk that a child would have in kindergarten. And they showed that in an entire year, a child would eat a wheelbarrow full of sugar just in drinking a carton of milk a day. So, and there's also some other graphics that I could not find before I came, and so I need to find it and make sure that I have it in my little arsenal. It has a table of, from like an apple all the way to a can of Coke, how much sugar is in it, and it comes from like a little package all the way down to a whole barrel of it. Have you seen that? Down to a whole barrel, and I was like, oh, wow, really just kind of emphasizes how much sugar is hidden in everything that we eat. So that is one of the reasons why I do not add anything into my food. I don't use flour either if it doesn't require, if it's bread or a cake or whatever, but I don't bread meat. I make chicken parmesan without any breading. I make eggplant parmesan without any breading, just to make sure that you can really taste and all of the expressions of the flavors that are in the original vegetable or fruit or meat. I am not a vegan, although I do prefer not to eat pork or beef. I do have a nice steak or a nice hamburger once in a while, but really not. I'm a fish person mostly, chicken on occasion, but really I stick towards vegetables and a lot of legumes. I am one of those people that previously in my past life, I cannot just have one potato chip. If I open the bag, I must have every single one of those potato chips. And I even went at one point to Costco, and I said, if you buy those little packages of chips, then I can eat just one package of chips, right? If you buy the package of 25 bags of chips, I can eat one package of chips, individually wrapped. I'm like, well, then I should be able to bring them home, put them in a Ziploc bag in one bag, right? No. Because those Ziploc bags are openable. So they'll end back up into, and so you end up, even with potatoes, if you fried them or deep fried them or whatever, you're changing the chemical composition of them, and you're getting all of that, you're ingesting all of those poor carbohydrates into your system. And it's just, you gotta go back. I really think that going back to basics is really a cool thing. And at the end here, I'm gonna show you a really easy and fun dessert or breakfast that you can have, and with using the things that we're gonna talk about here today. So I got you guys a tip card on 10 foods that help you balance your blood sugar. Because blood sugar is one of the biggest things that we have a problem with in this world. We have caffeine in the morning to wake up. We put sugar. A lot of people put sugar in the coffee. I don't, but I have coffee every day, right? And so I've taken this last week and not had any coffee. And if you see the amount of energy that I have right now, coffee's kind of bad for me. So it causes me to be a bit attention deficit. It causes me to do different things that I've noticed of kind of recording what the caffeine does to me in the mornings. And it's almost 6 o'clock at night right now. So, and I'm like this first thing in the morning. So sugar does the same thing. So we eat our lunch, and then after lunch we feel kind of run down, feel like we want to take a nap. So we have some more coffee and we have something sweet to bring us back up so that we don't sleep at work. And then we go and we have another, down side of it, and then we go home, we eat our dinner, and then have a sweet afterwards, and it brings us back up. Versus figuring out how we can balance our blood sugar throughout the day to keep that same energy levels going throughout the entire day. I've noted also, and I went back and did some research on it afterwards, that if I eat almonds first thing in the morning, it tends to keep me calm all day long. So that's why they're on this list right here. So 1.5 ounces is, I went back when I did the research, I did 1.5 ounces of almonds, first thing in the morning, raw almonds, right here. Just raw almonds, they will help keep your blood sugar balanced first thing in the morning. Now sometimes I add raw coconut to it to kind of back it up, spice it up just a little bit, and maybe some Greek yogurt. But the almonds themselves help balance and control your insulin levels. Almonds and pistachios are the two. Now you have to make sure that you don't overeat them because they're very high in oils too, right? And while a little bit, this is one of those things, while a little bit goes a long ways, too much will make your stomach upset. And then there's the chemical after effects that go along with having way too many almonds or too many pistachios that go along with that too. One thing that I thought was interesting about nuts in and of itself is that they help reduce inflammation. And they have the good oils in it, so if you eat a little bit of them, they also prevent against heart disease. And then we go on to seeds. Chia seeds and flax seeds, the superfood. So chia seeds I try to put in just about anything that has any kind of liquid in it, because if you eat them like this, they're a little hard to eat. You probably have to crunch them up a bit to make sure that you're expelling the goodness that's inside of them, either in a blender or a I can't think of what the stone is. Thank you. Yeah, coffee grinder would work perfectly fine. Or yes, mortar.
Well, can't you just sprinkle them on things?
You can sprinkle them on things, but really you want to get them to crunch up inside of you. Otherwise, they stay whole and they'll pass right straight through you, just like corn.
Okay, because I just sprinkle them on top of stuff and never did anything with them. So I have them, but I just sprinkle them.
So the other thing I do is the reason why I put them in coconut yogurt is because they swell, and then that makes it easy to chew them. So you're breaking them up and you're getting the benefits of the chia seed.
And how long does that take for it to absorb? Is it like right now, stick it in, stir it up, good to go?
10 minutes.
Is that the same with the flax seed? Is the flax seed the
needs
same
to be
way?
crunched up. Flax seed needs to be crunched up. It needs to be ground. Absolutely.
I
Put
just
it in a
sprinkle.
blender, so on.
I just sprinkle them on food.
You have to break down the hull in order to get the benefits of it inside. Otherwise, it passes right straight through you.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Absolutely. And then these guys too, cinnamon and nutmeg. Cinnamon, nutmeg, one thing that I've noticed, if you get the cinnamon sticks, if you get the cinnamon sticks and instead of putting sugar in your coffee and you swirl it with a cinnamon stick, then it replaces the need.
Okay.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
So one other thing that I have found that really helps kill a sugar craving is dark chocolate. You take 1 square of above 70% cacao, and the higher the better. I know that at 90% it tastes really bitter, but somewhere between, I like it about 78. I really like it about 78 because it doesn't have very much sweetness in it at all, but it has a ton of vitamins in it. And then if you wait 20 minutes and you have, drink water or whatever, go back to whatever you were doing, and generally your sugar craving will go away. And if it doesn't, have another square. Inside of the dark chocolate is a ton of antioxidants and magnesium. And magnesium helps you, it's a natural
relaxes.
Yeah, natural.
Control
It's natural.
blood sugar.
Yes, it relaxes you. It controls blood sugar, and it's a natural.
Vasodilator.
Yes, it's a yes. No. We'll figure it out in a second. I do not know why I cannot figure it out.
Things it does.
There you go. So yeah, dark chocolate is not bad for you at all. It has a minimum amount of sugar in it. It has a minimum amount of sugar in it, and it's really flavorful. Yes.
May I ask a question? Yes.
Absolutely.
What's the best place to find dark chocolate in the store?
So a lot of times I eat organic dark chocolate. So I usually go to a Sprouts or a Whole Foods, and I just get the bars.
Do you go to the baking section or the
No,
candy
I don't go to
section?
the baking section. I go to where they have the spices.
Oh.
And even when I make my organic chocolate chip cookies, they have 78% cacao chocolate chips in them.
Mhm.
And I use raw sugar in it, as well as I use an Indian brown sugar, which is got a lot of molasses in it. There's very little sugar and a lot more molasses.
Mhm.
And then we can move on to, I'm going backwards in case you hadn't noticed, but we're going to move on to sprouts. So these sprouts are basically the seeds. You can see the seeds. They've added water to it and they've started growing the little things, the little sprouts. These are Clover Sprouts. So they still have the seed in them. And this is really a long chain carbohydrate. So not only is it a vegetable, but it is a long chain carbohydrate. And long chain carbohydrates are treated like fiber. So they're very good. They're very high in vitamins because it is basically a baby plant. It's very high in vitamins, and it also is long chain carbohydrate. So whatever vitamin you get out of the green piece, you're getting the long chain carbohydrate to go through and be treated like fiber. Now, one thing that microgreens do for you is they help create insulin resistance in your cells, and they protect against diabetes. So they're very, very good for that. And broccoli sprouts actually are the best sprouts, and they help lower your triglyceride levels.
Cool.
Yes, ma'am?
I thought insulin resistance was bad, or is this a different
It combats against insulin resistance so that the cells
with
can
it.
absorb
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't. Okay.
Yeah.
Somehow I just heard like this makes you insulin resistant. I'm like,
No, it combats it. So it helps your cells build up that extra
Okay.
protection.
Yeah. Okay.
Because a lot of things that we do,
The cells have the whole.
I was going to talk about this at the end, but we'll talk about it now. So a lot of things that a lot of people do is they take and your digestive system starts when you put something in your mouth.
Yeah.
Right, and it sends triggers to your brain to release all these chemicals, so by the time the food reaches your stomach, it can start to deal with it. A lot of people have been tricking your brain for years by eating artificial sweeteners. So your brain goes ahead and releases all that insulin into your stomach, and then it doesn't have anything to do with it because there's no sugar there. And so now you have a chemical that's left in your stomach that's going to go off and cause other problems because it doesn't have anything to do.
Those bastards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So eating fake sugar is actually worse for you than eating regular sugar. But we've had, my generation has had all this fat-free and sugar-free
God.
stuff.
Dear God, that was bad. I remember when those campaigns were going on in
Oh,
the
yeah.
late 80s, early 90s. They were like, fat is fat. Even then, as a kid, I was like, This doesn't make sense.
No, tons of farmers been out there eating pork fat and scraping the fat
I
right
know,
off
like,
their milk
Grandma
for
been
years
cooking with bacon grease forever.
and drinking, and they
she's
live
bob-
forever. And they're strong, right? Right, so, I mean, it comes down to marketing. All of this stuff has gone to marketing as to how are we going to find things to do with our corn crops, how are we going to keep our farmers busy. And so corn creates high fructose corn syrup, and how do we create all of these other things that people want to get obese, and so they eat no sugar, or it has no fat, but then if it has no fat, they add sugar in it to make sure it tastes good. No sugar, they put the fake sugar in, and they put extra fat in it so that it tastes good. So it basically, it comes down to back to basics. But yeah, that's what it comes down to, is when you put that fake sugar in you put fake sugar in your body, your brain doesn't know the difference, because your tongue says, I'm sweet.
So while we're on that topic, fake sugar would be
Saccharin. So what is it? Sweet and low, equal.
Pinks, yellows, and blues.
Yeah, pinks, yellows, and blues. There you go, the little packages, pink, yellows, and blues.
Just say no.
And then you have stevia, which is natural sugar. It has a little bit of an aftertaste to it. If you go to pharmaceutical grade, it's a little less, but it's expensive. So so unless you're diabetic or you have some issue why you can't eat regular sugar, I would say go to whole sugar, not processed sugar. Organic, raw sugar. And then we're going to go to vinegar. So a lot of people believe that drinking a tablespoon of vinegar every morning will help cleanse you. It's possible. It doesn't work for me, but it's possible. But a lot of people do believe that. For me, what is important about vinegar is it really does a good job of putting some good sulfur in your body, so that it helps reduce your cholesterol. It helps your cell walls. It helps with a lot of different things. So you can take this apple cider vinegar and take a quarter cup of it, put some olive oil in it, some Dijon mustard, and a little bit of honey, and you got yourself an apple cider vinaigrette. Sprinkle that over top of your vegetables, and it is perfect.
also helps with
Balsamic vinegar, sprinkle that all over your salad. You want something sweet for your fruit, but you don't want to put sugar on it. Reduce balsamic vinegar and pour it over top of your fruit. It's thick and syrupy, and it's super yummy, and it all has the same effects. The acid is good for you.
Do you suggest doing your own reduction, Jennifer, or just buying a reduction?
You can do it either way.
In Trader Joe's,
You
I
can-
have the balsamic reduction glaze, and that's
As long as they don't put things in it,
okay. I guess I could look.
you have to
'cause
look and see. As long as
I
they
tried
don't put
to do
things
my
in
own reduction. It takes a long time.
It does take a while,
Yeah.
and sometimes if you're not paying a super amount of attention to it, you can go too far.
Right.
Or not far enough, and you have to keep going. Start on and off, on and off. But I make probably a big jar of it. I make squeeze bottles, so I do everything in a squeeze bottle. So I make a big squeeze bottle of it, probably every half year.
It'll last that long?
Yeah, put it in the refrigerator.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Well, maybe I should have made a bigger quantity, because it was like, okay.
But it does tend to
And
does create
my
this
house
aroma in the
smelled-
house.
Oh, I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
my house was like, whoa, this is quite potent.
But it's very good for you. And you can take that and mix it with honey and Dijon mustard at another time, and make a different kind of dressing. Make a honey mustard dressing. It's really all kinds of things for arugula. It that provides that sweetness that offsets the bitterness of the arugula. It's there's just so many things you can do. I don't even have dressing ever for any of my customers, unless of course they say I have to have something else, and then I will use a yogurt type of dressing. I use an organic yogurt type of dressing. But honest to God, you can take you make a big salad, or you make a big broccoli salad, or a big salad. You can put fruit in it and put coconut yogurt milk on it, unsweetened, and it tastes just like dressing. It's like candy in a leafy bowl.
Wow. Thank you.
No problem. We're gonna move on to our leafy greens and our legumes here. So also, one thing I forgot is there's some flaxseed. So at Sprouts, they have these awesome corn chips that have flaxseed in them. You guys can taste some of them, but they're super yummy, and they have the flaxseed. They have the flaxseed already in them. And as long as you don't eat like the whole container, they're tasty.
And they're still whole in here, so they would
You just
digest.
chew them down. You just chew them.
You're gonna chew them down.
Yep. You
Yeah,
chew
so
them
you
down.
just need to chew them really, really, really well. And when you're sprinkling them on things, you're better off just using ground.
Yep.
Okay.
Salad grounds.
Alright.
Thank you.
So it's got a little buttermilk powder on it, a little buttermilk powder and a little bit of cheddar. The corn and the flaxseed.
Now it's like slightly troubling. But not super addictive though. I'm not like, oh,
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
So it's just a
Satisfying. It's like dark
nice,
chocolate.
yes, it's just like that dark chocolate, yes, it's just really nice. You can have a couple and feel like you got something. Right?
Yeah. I'll have to look for this.
So we'll move on to our legumes. So here's, I brought some green beans, I bought some different beans, there's black beans, there's Great Northern beans, some garbanzo beans, some cannellini beans, any kind of beans, or I'm gonna throw lentils in there as well. Legumes and lentils, they're all long chain carbohydrates. So not only do they fill you more, they provide more vitamins, they have protein in them. So you're getting protein out of them. And if you eat protein instead of eating sugar, it tends to balance your sugar out. So you're getting a carbohydrate and a protein together. And you can do anything you want. You can, and you know what? I brought this too. So you know what? I don't believe that you have to boil your beans in order to get good beans. You can get organic, different kinds of beans. And generally, I will tell you, somebody asked me the other day, I was using organic garbanzo beans for a salad. I made a broccoli salad and I put organic garbanzo beans in it. And they said, why aren't you making your own beans? I'm like, do you know how long it takes me to make this?
Right.
I have to soak them overnight, and they cook all day. I have to watch them, spend the time with them, go check on them, make sure they don't too dry, yada, 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 right?
Right.
And then if I want to keep them for a long period of time, then I have to can them, and I have to do all that stuff. 79 cents.
Right.
So I look at my time.
But yeah.
I look at my time and I say, how much time am I going to spend on, I'm going to make this, and it's going to be a $20 bag of garbanzo beans versus 79 cents.
Huh.
And I pour them on my salads, and I add garbanzo beans, I make tahini, I make hummus with it. I mean, just a ton of, hummus is a fantastic dip with garbanzo beans for your vegetables.
Right.
You don't need ranch dressing. Yeah, I don't think sauce is a food group.
Chocolate maybe.
Chocolate could be a food group, I do, as long as it's 70% or more, yes. So they're really, really good. So like I said, they're a long chain carbohydrate. You get your green things out of your beans here, and they do the same things as everything else, right? So they help reduce your cardiovascular disease, control your diabetes. They're treated just like fiber, and like you get a bonus of protein in them. And they're really good. You can take and do anything you want. Drain the water out of this and smash it up, or make it into a salad. You can make it into a side dish. You can put bacon in it, turkey bacon in it, vegan bacon in it, vegan chorizo in it.
I grew up like that. Deep fried.
It's a clean version of
Bacon,
it.
bacon grease and
I'm
beans.
sorry?
It's a clean version of it. It's modified.
Yeah,
It's like
absolutely.
taking that old classic recipe and bringing it into using the healthy pieces with. Yeah.
And in my paella, I make paella a lot. So I do a lot. It's one of my most famous classes. It actually, I use vegan chorizo in it, and nobody knows the difference. Nobody knows the difference because it's put in with a bunch of other things.
So it's
You
just
roll
the
it into
flavor,
meatballs.
the spice.
It's ground up. You roll it into meatballs, and nobody knows that it isn't pork. So yeah, beans. I love beans, and I don't know if you ask my brothers, they would tell you that beans give them gas.
They have other issues.
They have other issues. They have other bonus items they provide you. But I honestly think if you're drinking enough water, I don't seem to get the gas.
I don't
They
either.
normally
I think
do.
when you're used to it and you're used to taking in more fiber and whatnot.
Yeah.
At first, yeah, but when you adapt.
Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
You
If
can
it's if you're a weekend quarterback, then you're a weekend bean eater, then yes, yeah.
You can put episote in it too. That'll take.
That's a true statement. Yes,
right,
yes.
you can
Or you
use
can
it,
even put half an onion and 4 or 5 cloves of garlic in with it, and cook it, and that takes some of the ass too, and takes care of some of the gas too. And onions and garlic are not just to keep away vampires, being Halloween month. It's not just to keep away vampires. It also are very good for your heart, and it provides other vitamins to your body that helps reduce diabetes, and it helps bolster your heart. And which causes you to balance your blood sugar. Oh, it does also make sure that you lowers your cholesterol. All of these things in here will lower your cholesterol. And then your leafy greens. This is chard. But leafy green vegetables, I put leafy green vegetables, and I think all leafy green vegetables are good for you. However, I don't believe they're the same. I would say that if you stay towards kale and chard and spinach, then those leafy green vegetables provide more vitamins for you than the others. However, I would prefer you eat a leafy salad, a green leafy salad or arugula or whatever, versus eating iceberg lettuce, which has like 0 calories and negative. You use more energy chewing it than you do actually get any bonus from it. It's good. It's good for water though. But no, leafy green vegetables. And chard, I think is, forever I stayed away from doing anything with chard because I had a bad experience with it. But I realized that the reason why I had a bad experience with it is because my mother was not a good cook, which is why I'm a chef. So I didn't realize that you take the spines out of everything when we were young. You just cut them up, we diced them in. They taste nasty with the spines in it. Way too bitter. And the same thing with kale. If you wait too long to pick kale, kale tastes bad. The younger the kale is, the better it tastes. And spinach. I love spinach. And the one thing I love about spinach and kale and chard is you don't have to cook it. I tell you what, you take and you put it in any hot dish and give it a few minutes and it will cook itself and it keeps all of its vitamins with it. When you start to saute it or boil it or do those types of things, then the vitamins all leave those vegetables. Yes?
So one of the things that I do with chard is I'll pull the spines off and I'll cut it up like celery and I'll saute the bitter
Mm-hmm.
and then use that. And is there anything that would be wrong about doing that?
No.
I mean, I do
Not
the
at all.
greens exactly like you said, but it gives like a little bit of a bitter flavor and it infuses into the meats I cook with it.
Yes, that's actually quite good, yes. Collard greens, carrot greens, all of those things, or even beet greens. I use all of the greens for any of the vegetables that I get, and I use it a lot when I cook with meat.
Because there's some sort of science, like I'm imagine, like I
Yes. Yeah, it's a whole chemistry thing about how the bitterness and the piece with it kind of like helps break down the muscle walls of the meat and makes it very tender.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I use all of the greens. So the part of the reason why you don't get any greens on your carrots when you buy them at the market is because carrots are sold by the pound.
Right.
Carrots are sold by the pound and nobody wants to eat the greens, so they cut them off because nobody wants to pay for the greens. That's why they cut them off. And so I love when I get carrot greens because I would prefer to have carrot greens over having flat leaf parsley. They're just yummy. Now I kind of go back with the mustard greens. I like them. I don't like them. I like them. I don't like them.
Heresy.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Mustard greens are not.
I just realized that like my people figured out greens a long time ago. We eated them forever. And then you mentioned the carrot greens. I'm like, I think it's because we kept eating things no one wanted. There's all this food no one wanted, and then we were like, let's figure out how to eat this. And now everybody's like, it's so like oxtails are so expensive now. Everybody else figured out the secret that it's delicious. And we were like, it's just cheap.